Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with a Starfield discussion video. Now for those who don't know what Starfield is, it is rumored to be Bethesda Game Studios' next game to be released. This information was brought to light thanks to legitimate trademark details posted by ZeniMax themselves. After looking at the release schedule for all of the ZeniMax owned studios, the information pointed right at Bethesda Game Studios to be working on this, especially considering there is supposed to be a mobile tie-in for Starfield, once again thanks to the information provided by these trademarks. Now let's take a hypothetical situation. It's E3 2018, Bethesda hits the stage and they announce Starfield. It's coming out this year. That's exciting, right? I think all of us are ready for a brand new Bethesda Game Studios game and for them to flex their new ideas into a new IP. Those are the good possibilities, but I was also thinking about a potential scary truth that can accompany the announcement of Starfield. Now, while initially it won't be a problem, I imagine that if Starfield is a good game, if it garners a fan base, this can be a future problem for Bethesda Game Studios and one that they've already had considering they own both Fallout and Elder Scrolls. I'm sure most of you already know where I'm going with this. Let's say Starfield is great. It's a sci-fi RPG that catches a big fan base. It's a refreshing idea. All of us really enjoy it. There are a lot of us who enjoy Fallout. There are a lot of us who enjoy Elder Scrolls. Some people enjoy all of them from Bethesda Game Studios, which is excellent, but some of them only favor one side. This can lead to the issue that Bethesda Game Studios has been combating for years now with how long they take to release games and balancing two IPs. Some people want so much more Fallout. Some people want so much more Elder Scrolls. And now when we add Starfield into the mix, all of a sudden that's a third IP that maybe people will want a lot of as well. While it's exciting at the idea of having three IPs that everyone's hyped for, if you're Bethesda Game Studios, you're like, man, we are just raking it in. As consumers, this can be an issue for us because once again, we can go on those long droughts like before Fallout 4 where we don't get anything from that series for years and years and years. I like to compare it to Naughty Dog. They have a similar issue with Uncharted and The Last of Us, where it was tons of Uncharted and there were fans like myself who only really enjoy The Last of Us from Naughty Dog. That's no disrespect to Uncharted, but that's just how I personally feel, and I know I'm not alone on that. So when we're getting Uncharted 4, then Uncharted Lost Legacy, a lot of people are sitting there thinking to themselves, okay, this is cool, good for those fans, but where is The Last of Us? And then finally The Last of Us is announced, and it's such a long gap between The Last of Us 1 and Part 2. Once again, it's that situation where we have two excellent IPs with huge fan bases and one single company who can do it right and balance them all. Let's say that Bethesda Game Studios really hits their stride with Starfield. This can present a problem of its own, where perhaps elements from Starfield are now expected to be in Fallout, in Elder Scrolls, because one thing that Bethesda Game Studios games always do is share a certain DNA. So I feel like Starfield, while it is very exciting, can actually present its own amount of problems if this game turns out to be released and also enjoyable. This is not me trying to be a negative Nancy or kill anyone's hype, because I'm anticipating a new Bethesda Game Studios game like anyone else. But it's still something worth discussing, something worth thinking about there, that Bethesda needs to think of a way to remedy this potential issue. They have been expanding. We now have Bethesda Game Studios Montreal and Austin on top of the Maryland studio, but I don't think 300 people is enough to balance three separate IPs. This is going to lead to spin-offs, other studios working on the IPs potentially so that they don't just fade into oblivion. With Elder Scrolls, I think it's simple. For those who want Elder Scrolls, Bethesda will always 10 times out of 10 say, hey, why don't you just go to Elder Scrolls Online, give it a shot. That's not everyone's cup of tea, but that's where Bethesda's going to defer others to. But with Fallout, it's a different story. Considering Bethesda stays in the section of we don't like to do remakes, so I don't imagine we're going to see a re-release of Fallout 3 or New Vegas. All that's left for us to expect is a Fallout 5 or another similar game to New Vegas from another company. But I personally don't see Bethesda handing out the Fallout license ever again after the financial success that Fallout 4 is. We'll see in due time though. It's just a lot of food for thought for you guys. I wanted to get your opinion on Starfield. Do you think a third IP in the mix, if it is an enjoyable one, actually will end up presenting a problem of its own? And how can Bethesda balance out this problem? Put your suggestions in the comments down below. Other than that, be sure to follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content we create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.